Welcome to The Engaging Life, a podcast about using engagement equity to improve your relationship building skills in your personal and professional life. And now, here are your hosts, Brandon Suba and Angela Cheney.
Angela, hi.
Brandon.
We're flying in
Yes.
with energy today. I don't know if I've gotten great sleep the last few nights, but I think I got a little extra sleep last night.
Oh, that's good. I didn't.
You did not.
I did not.
Rough night?
It was a rough night.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
Sorry I'm coming in strong this
It's
morning.
okay. I'm on my third cup of coffee.
Okay.
Got it handled.
I'm like only halfway through my tea. Because I don't need much more, ladies and gentlemen. Hey, speaking of, have you ever wanted to see what Angela looks like? Yeah, maybe. Have you ever wanted to see what Brandon, third person, myself, what I look like?
Definitely not.
Here's one cool thing. If you listen to this podcast in the old earbuds, on the old listening devices, you can sign in to YouTube. Well, I don't have to sign in, I guess. But you can go to YouTube, Pixelfire YouTube, and you can see the video of us doing the podcast here in the podcast studio. New studio, new year, new us.
We're still trying to hang our sign behind us. We've not quite gotten there.
I've heard that's been a topic of conversation. I think we'll get over that hump. You guys have a ribbon cutting coming up. Super excited.
A couple.
A couple.
A couple, 2, 3.
Couple of them. So if you want to come see the new location and you're here local, or if you want to fly in, that's fine too. But come on to the Pixel. Hopefully this will air by then. Heck, it might be today. Who knows? Who knows?
It should air before at least some of the ribbon
There's
cutting.
plenty of opportunities.
Yes.
But come check it out. You can come and see the podcast studio.
You can. And
Get
we'll
a-
have drinks.
Get a tour. I'll give you a tour. It'll take.
The important thing here is we will have drinks.
There will be drinks. Speaking of drinks, you ever had too many drinks and acted maybe more like yourself or less like yourself?
Never.
Never, right? That never happens. So my topic, it's not on drinking, but it's about perception perception is reality, not versus reality. Perception is reality. And I use this statement a lot because it was probably, 4 or 5 years ago. See, I was very late in learning all these neat sayings. Oh, you know that. You say sayings, and I
You
just
don't know
learned
any
them.
of them.
Yeah, none of them.
Right.
And so this is one that I came across in the networking world, presenting world, all of that. And it was one that didn't set easily, right? Like I didn't want to accept it because how people perceive us, we don't always have control over.
We never have control.
We never have control over. And so what we're going to talk about today are things that I commonly see when it comes to denial. Oh, that's not really me.
Not just a river in Egypt.
Denial.
Denial.
Denial. I see
Is that
that.
the first time you ever heard that one too?
It is, but I got it. But I got that one.
Good
That
job.
one didn't even
That
miss a
should be
beat.
the title of this podcast. Not
Good.
just a river in Egypt.
Denial. So these are things that I see, and I've talked about. To tell you the truth, if you are a consistent listener, you've probably heard these topics before. But I wanted to dump them all into one show, so that when you have that friend or family member that is very much, oh no, that's not me. I don't know why people think that. Hopefully, maybe this podcast can set them straight there. So, all right. So let's talk about the first one. This is one that I know I've talked about before. Being late. Being late. Now, I'm going to repeat it. Perception is reality. Are you punctual, Angela? Are you generally
I'm
punctual?
early.
You're an early. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
If I'm not 5 minutes early, I feel like I'm late.
Yes. And I generally want to get there 10 minutes early. I'll sit in my car for a minute, check my emails real quick before I go into an event or something. So I'm going to share this story. I know I've shared it. I don't think I've ever shared it on this podcast, though. And this is when I was up in the good old-fashioned Sioux Falls. I always enjoyed traveling up there. And I would see groups about every other month when I was going up there. So I went to this one group, and this guy, very boisterous, very, I think, a big part of the chapter.
Sure.
But he strolls in pretty late to the meeting. And so I did an education. Ironically, it was about punctuality.
Okay.
And so he heard it. And he comes up to me afterwards and he goes, I just want to let you know. And I'm thinking, you probably feel guilty for being late anyways.
You would hope.
But he goes, I just want to let you know that if it's a client and I'm going to make money, I'm never late.
Ew.
And he like, I didn't even provoke this conversation,
That's
right?
basically like saying all of you are unimportant.
Now, luckily, he did not say it publicly. He just told me directly. But yes, I agree, right? And that's my mindset too. like you have 10, 15, 20, I'm trying to think, there's probably 20 people in this room that could bring you money every week.
Now I have, go ahead and finish your thought.
Okay, I'll finish the thought. Okay, so anyways, traveling, I got bored. I mean, go figure, right?
Sure.
And so I was like, you know what? I'm going to test this guy. I have nothing better to do in my life. I'm going to test this guy. So after I left and I was driving, I thought of this. So I reached back out to him. I said, hey, it's really nice getting to know you today. I'm really glad we got to meet. It wasn't our first meeting, but it was kind of the first time we fully interacted. I said, I would love to grab coffee with you next time I'm in town. Here's the dates. Here's some times. Do any of these work? He picked the time. I want to be very clear. He picked the time and the day. So a month and a half goes by. I rarely do this, I even followed up to remind, right? Say, hey, are we still on for Tuesday at 8 or whatever it was? Responds, yep, we're good. Cool. So I go to the scooters. I'm 15 minutes early, right? Because I think I had a meeting and I finished that. So I'm sitting there, and we'll just use 9 o'clock for the story. So it's 9 o'clock. Do you think he's there?
Nope.
No. And so I'm like, okay, always got to give that 5-minute window. So 9:05. Do you think he's there?
Nope.
No. 9:15.
Ew.
Still not there. 9:17. He walked in the door. 9:17. Now I maybe was not going to make him money, right?
Right.
But wouldn't you think that a director of an organization that's all about referrals may be a good person to have a connection with? And so he was late. So all I could think of was I would never trust that just because I give you a referral that all of a sudden you're not going to be late.
Right.
Because I think people, if
and
you're
if
late,
you
you're
are,
always late.
Because that means you're being intentionally late to the other things. Now,
yes.
there is, I've done a lot of research on this. I have a lot of people in my life who are late, and it infuriates me, especially because it's like, I got kids, I got all these obligations, but I'm never late.
Right.
You know,
Yep.
so it's, but then doing some more research on it, one of the reasons why people are chronically late is because they want attention.
You would think I'd be late everywhere.
But for some reason, they've developed in their head that negative attention is okay. So, I don't know if I won't tell that story. People know our family. But,
Okay.
but you will see that a lot in people who don't know how to get attention. They don't know how to get positive attention, but they want attention, and they don't realize they're doing this.
Sure.
That is a big thing, is they don't realize they're doing this. Because think of either a family event, think of a networking event, think of a meeting. If you show up on time, how much attention are you getting?
Right.
No more attention than anyone else who showed up on time.
Right.
If you walk in 10 minutes late, everything stops, all eyes are on you. All of a sudden, you got all the attention in the room.
I never thought of that. And you do.
Uh-huh.
Like everybody recognizes.
Negative.
Mm-hmm.
But for people, and I'm not saying that's everybody's reasons for being late. You know,
right.
That is for the people who, really struggle with attention, don't know how to get the positive attention. And honestly, I really think the majority of them have no idea that they're doing it.
I would agree with that. Absolutely. Yep. They know they're late. If people I'm sorry, the joke, I'll be late to my own funeral, that's not funny.
It's not.
Because you can't be, number one, you're dead.
And also, this actually piggybacks on the topic I'm going to be talking about later.
Mm-hmm.
Being late is not a personality trait.
We've talked about this before. Being a jerk isn't a personality trait either.
It's
right.
The same thing. It's like, that's just who I am, always late. Ha ha ha, laugh about it. Or, you always hear Angie time, or they're on blah 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 time, and people let people get away with it and laugh about it. But that is not part of your personality. Oh, just accept me as who I am. I'm always late. No, that means you have either no time management, you're a jerk, you want negative attention. It's all things you can work on. Everybody has the ability to be on time.
They do.
So
we all have the same.
I have a friend who's always late. Bugs the shit out of me. But I've seen that what she does, she always plans something for before we are meeting. And then, I couldn't help it, blah, 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 went late.
Mm-hmm.
Why did you plan something for before we're meeting?
I give myself an hour to a half an hour buffer with every meeting.
Yeah.
No matter, even if it's a call to a call, because I talk. I know, chances are it's going to go over a little bit.
What about with a friend?
Right.
Because this is a friend.
Okay.
We're going to meet for lunch, or we're going to meet for drinks or something, And it's not horribly late, but it's always usually at least 10 to 15. And me being me, I can't just be like, I know she's going to be late, so I'm going to show up 15 minutes late. I can't do that.
Well, that would be the
I'm
one
so
time.
early.
That'll be the one time they're on time, by the
Yeah.
way, if you show them. So I guess, okay, here's where I would go with that with friends. If I'm cooking
Mm-hmm.
and I set a time, I've organized all of my stuff to be ready at a certain time. And I've even done the buffer, right? So I'll tell, okay, we're going to eat at 5, and pretty much everything's going to be ready at 5:15. So people can get settled or whatever that looks like. And I still have people that come in late. And it drives me. So now, if it's at a restaurant, and mind you, it obviously bothers me. Otherwise, I wouldn't have put it in a podcast.
Right.
But if it's at a restaurant, so I can mess
Well,
around on my phone for
I know,
some time.
A lot of the times she and I are meeting in a bar, and
See,
I got no problems being in a bar by myself
Right.
for 20 minutes, but it's the principle.
it is, and respect,
Yeah.
principle and respect,
Your time
because
is more important than my time.
correct, and you're burning my time
Yes.
that I've offered to you. Yeah. Okay. So if you so if you're like, gosh, if it's really important I'm not late, you probably are. Number one, and number two, everything in this, there are exceptions to every rule.
Right.
I get that. Because sometimes you can't plan. If traffic is held up, and mind you, we're in the Midwest, so that's never an excuse in my opinion. Like,
That's why I get a crash or something.
it does happen, yes. But these are people that are consistently late. And in the networking world, we could even, most of the groups I could have named off the people that were going to be late because they're consistent.
Right. And that's the other thing. Don't tell me at 4 o'clock on a Friday, I'm going to be late. Traffic is horrible. It's 4 o'clock on a Friday. Of course, traffic is going to be horrible. Leave 10 minutes earlier.
Yep.
You know, if it's an accident or something like that, then you
Out of
could.
control.
But if you're traveling during heavy times, add some more time.
Yes. Or if you're
Or-
going from like out west to downtown, that takes more than 15 minutes.
Right.
But
And people who are consistently late to groups, because I've seen this before too. Well, I got to drop my kids off, and that makes me 10 minutes late every time. Join a different group.
yes, then don't be here.
Yes.
Don't be here. I'm not going to get in this story, but there was a recovering alcoholic that joined a happy hour group. And she complained. Like, she visited. And then when she joined, paid money. And then she complained. She's like, this is just a bad environment for me. I'm like, then why did you choose it? Sorry, I didn't answer that. That was not my answer. But deep down inside, that's what I was thinking. So being late. I started with this one because it is a giant pet peeve. And when I think of perception is reality, the late thing, like you said, it's unconscious attention that they want. Is that right? Unconscious? Subconscious attention that they want.
Or knocked out.
Well, maybe that's why you were late. Fell asleep and got knocked out. Okay, anyways. All right, so the next one. And I'm actually in trouble on this one. I'm going to call myself out here on this one. Returning phone calls or texts in a timely manner. Now, here's where I fail in this area twice. So one, if you text me a question that I need to research or I need to put in my calendar and I'm busy or I'm not focused on it, I will leave that text. Now, things have changed. I'll talk about that in a second. But I will leave that text unread so that I will remember to go back to it.
Okay.
Now, on my iPhone now, and I don't think I did get a new phone, but I don't think it's fun. You can slide it over and unread the text message now.
Oh.
Just like an email. So now that's changed. I'll respond and then set it. But before that, I would leave it. And I think sometimes it would mess with people because they asked for a day and time. I want to put it in my calendar. In my head, I'm like, oh yeah, that works great. And then I respond like a day later. Hey, yep, it's in my calendar. We're good. Just recently, this week, actually specifically, I'm trying to book something for next week, and I really want this meeting, so I've been leaving it open.
Yeah.
And it took them 2 days to confirm, and I'm like, no. So now I'm trying to get caught up. Okay, so that's one. Two, New Year's Eve. New Year's Eve was over the weekend, and I took Friday off.
Okay.
And I got a phone call Friday morning, and I checked the voicemail. And it was, I did not. Nope, I did not miss a meeting, but it was somebody that wanted to connect and talk about collaboration. Okay, so in my opinion, there's no timestamp on this necessarily.
Okay.
I shut down. Honestly, like in these, I took 2 4-day weekends, and because just how hectic everything has been, I really enjoyed them with family. Like, I shut down. Well, I didn't call him on Tuesday. I didn't call him on Wednesday. Called him today. So this is where I apologize.
Today would be Thursday.
Thank you. So, and he gave me a little guy. So, oh, I bet so and so was giving you some crap because he talked to the other person in my group about it, and it's just like I feel really bad. And I thought, gosh, I even wrote this in the notes. So, perception. Here's what stinks. This is my first impression for that guy.
Right, and he thinks that he's unimportant to you.
That's how it could come off.
Right.
And now, and I had the regret, right? Like I'm so far deep now. Do I even call back or? And you ready for the excuse that I made?
What?
You ready? And I even told Liz this. I go, you should have emailed me. I would have responded to that. Like, if you want to,
Justification.
yeah, if you want to collaborate people together, it's an email. It's not a phone call. Yeah, it can totally be a phone call because that's how it works for him.
Right.
And I think
that's
we've
his,
done a show on it.
style.
Yes. So I will say, returning phone calls and text messages in a timely manner, you have to have a system for it.
Yeah.
You have to, and I once again, hypocrite. I have a system in my professional business world. You know, if it's a client. But this was, in my mind, oh, I'll get to it. And it bit me in the butt, guys. I'll be honest. It bit me in the butt. So now, coming into the new year, I will be more prompt on those. But I know now that I have some credibility I have to work on with this guy because I blew it.
You know, and a lot of this one, because I experienced this too, myself doing it, knowing yourself and knowing why you do things, which it sounds like you've got some clarity on why you do it. So I tend to cancel meetings, which it's terrible.
Really?
It's terrible. Oh yeah. Or postpone meetings.
Okay.
As well as not return phone calls. I'm really bad about it.
I don't.
And it's I don't know how exactly to explain it. I call it future Angie is doing things that present Angie doesn't like. So like I think that future Angie is going to want to go on this meeting and do this and do that. And so present Angie schedules it for her. Well, guess what happens when future Angie becomes present Angie? She doesn't want to do it either. So I will try to get out of things that I plan, thinking when I plan them that I'm going to be a different person.
This is going to be great.
I'm going to be a completely different person next week and want to go to this meeting. So I just have to push through. It's like if you schedule it, you have to go. Stop trying to talk yourself out of it. I'm hitting the table again, which I should not do.
That's all right.
It's the same as I cannot talk to myself when my alarm goes off at 5 a.m. to go work out. As soon as the self-talk starts happening, I am back in bed.
Oh, so you just got to push.
I have to.
Just go.
I have to have like a mantra in my head so that I cannot start the self-talk.
Wow.
Because otherwise I'll be like, well, but I was up a little bit late last night, but I still have 3 more days that I can work out. Well, my stomach doesn't feel all that good. Oh, I don't think the treadmill's even turned on. I mean, blah, 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 blah. So I just have to shut it off. And it's the same way with meetings or returning phone calls. It's like, stop talking, just do it.
And I will tell you,
you just got to do it.
In my professional experience, every networking event that I did not want to go to, like reluctant, even said, I walked in, and when I did go, I almost always make a good connection.
And you always feel better about it. I mean,
yes.
There's no way that I'm going to be like, tomorrow I'm really going to wish that I slept in and didn't work out. Or I'm really going to wish that I blew off this meeting.
Oh, I've had the regret because I've had where like I pushed it. Oh, I'll be a little late. It'll be okay. It's just a general event, that sort of thing. And then it's like, oh man, well, it's going to be over by the time I get there. So what's the point?
Have you ever done the confirm a meeting like half hour before, hoping they'll cancel?
No. You know what? In a sales training.
Is this still going to work out for you? Because if it doesn't, no problem.
We're good. And then how disappointed is when they're like, oh no, that's great.
I know, you're like,
in a sales training, this is selling countertops, and one of the things was call to confirm your appointment. And the sales trainer goes, don't do that. Your client is looking for every excuse not to have you there, so don't give them the option. I'm like, well, sometimes it's for me, not them.
And I think that kind of the reason I was saying this is I have got all these reasons why I don't go to events, why I don't return phone calls, blah, 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 blah. The person on the other end, you know, the person I'm canceling the event on, or the meeting on, the person whose phone call I don't, you think they give two cares about my personality and my quirks and no, all they see is that I'm a flake.
Yep, and that's your
the
perception. Exactly. When in reality, you have so many battles just to get there.
Everyone does. And
we do.
So it's an interesting quote, and I don't know how exactly it plays into what we're talking about, but it's on perception. And I think it's really interesting because it makes you kind of change. Because what we're saying is perception is reality. How somebody perceives you is the reality for that person.
Correct.
But this quote took it I think this was Jay Shetty's How to Think Like a Monk, which is a fantastic book. And it was, our reality is not what we think of ourselves. It is not what others think of us. It is what we think others think of us.
You said that. Yes. Yep.
Which this is kind of different because I think there's two ways to think of perception. There's here where it's like, well, I know that I'm not a flake. I know that I'm a responsible person, but they're going to view me that way because of what I do. So there is that where I've got this perception of myself, but a lot of the times it is what are others thinking of us. If you walk in and be like, oh, I think people are talking about me, it's probably because my skirt's too short, becomes, well, stop wearing shorts. You don't have the legs for it, Brandon.
I disagree.
But now all of a sudden, it's not what I think of myself when I walk into that room. It's not even, the others don't probably even care. It's what I think others think of me.
I think that quote kind of helps us with it's just the way I am. It's like, yeah, but you need to think about how other people are thinking about you and maybe adjust a little.
You can't think that others are always thinking of you all the time. So I've got another kind of story. So person in my family, we were on vacation together, and this person tends to think negatively and make everything about herself. And we were on vacation. This was one of the first times I'd spent a lot of time with her.
Okay.
And we were walking down. I was in Florida. We were like walking down the boardwalk or whatever. Probably not a boardwalk because we're not in New Jersey, but we're walking on the dock, whatever. And we're sitting there talking, and I cracked a joke, and she laughed. And I mean, normal laugh,
Okay.
And then she's like, "Oh my God, did you see that woman look at me?" She obviously didn't like that I was laughing that hard. And I was just like, "Wait, what's going on here?" And I mean, and this went on for like the next half hour of how this person was judging her and she obviously didn't like that we were having fun, or she didn't approve of my laugh. And I'm like, I didn't even see anyone look at.
Yeah.
And then it got brought up later, like when we were back with our spouses. And that is that she was perceiving that somebody else, and she had a preconceived notion that people were always judging her. And so when you have preconceived notions like that, you're going to find it.
Yep.
You're going to find evidence of it.
And there's nothing.
Or you're going to invent evidence.
Yeah, I was going to say, nothing's going to change.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's funny.
Anyway, small aside.
Okay. Next one. This one can be a very touchy topic.
Okay.
Always being touchy topic.
I like toppy touching.
The person on the UBTube, the person that is always sick. Always sick.
And that's another one, like being late. You know what it is a lot of the time?
Is it it's for attention?
Negative attention.
Negative attention.
They'll take pity over not getting attention at all.
So, okay. Once again, exception to every rule, right?
Right.
So I believe you can be sick. If you recall an earlier podcast, there was the time that a cat kept being sick, and that's why I never got to have my meeting. Not my cat. Anyways, so I have a lot of dietary restrictions with people in my family.
Okay.
And on the cooking side, I kind of enjoyed the challenge of accommodating all of that. But when I see them choose to eat something they know is going to make them sick, and then they're sick, and if it's like a family week, and the first day out they're eating what they shouldn't be, to me, that's where I'm like, you're making a choice.
Right.
And it's harder for me to support you are sick. And to me, in this example, perception's reality is more on the business side when someone always has to cancel or can never be at an event because they're always sick. I get people are sick. People are chronic sick. I understand all of that. But in a professional setting, I mean, I've pushed through migraines. I've pushed through stomach issues to go and be at this event. And to me, sometimes I'm just like, you're not trying. Like, you're just...
And also, you don't have to tell everyone about your health issues. There's a line. I do think, maybe I push through, say my stomach doesn't feel well.
Yeah.
Which hasn't been lately.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Are you
I just overshared. But
eating crappy? Oh, that's
so
the next episode.
The way I'm feeling right now, I would push through and go to a meeting and I would never say a word about it.
Yeah.
If it was to the point where it was affecting how I was acting, if if I pushed through and then got there, like, God, I know I'm not quite with it. Maybe I'm sweating, whatever. If it's obvious that something is not right with me, then I would say something, but not it would just be like, hey, just so you know, I'm not quite myself. I've been experiencing this. Because again, perception is reality. You might feel like, or my husband and I do this all the time. If I'm not feeling well and haven't told him, he thinks I'm mad or upset.
Oh, sure, because you're not your normal. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
and so that is a time, and I try not to, because, I mean, all of us really, there's something going on with everybody pretty much at all times. Nobody feels 100% healthy all the time.
I've been working out and my legs hurt, so just can't
win. I try not to, even with my husband, I try not to bring it up all the time because I don't want that our conversation's always to be about my health.
Yes.
That's terrible. But knowing when you're crossing that line of, hey, it's obvious something is wrong with me. His perception is, I'm mad, he's done something wrong, this or that. His mind never goes to, she doesn't feel well.
Right. Yep.
It always goes to, I did something wrong. That's how marriages are. So in a business setting, I think there's a lot of times you don't need to tell people you don't feel well.
Correct. No, push through it.
Yeah.
And once again, this one, I don't want anyone to listen to this and have someone cancel on them because they're sick and you be like, whoa, holy. No, it's when it's consistent. Right. When it's always something that holds them back. Yep, that's what I was kind of aiming on that one. Paying bills and vendors on time. And this, honestly, this wasn't anything that was top of mind for me until I did the international radio show, IBGR.
Sure.
Because on one of my shows, I did some research, and it was a COVID, like kind of talking about COVID. And the big thing was, just because your business is hurting because of COVID reasons or whatever, you can't just not pay the people that are giving you your product or your service that you're selling. And so for me, perception is reality. It's very much, if you don't pay people on time, you're always going to be the person that doesn't pay on time. And I don't care what your excuses are.
And it's also likely you're going to get bumped to the bottom of
Heck yeah, you are.
Whatever the service list or if you need something, they're not going to return your calls.
Right.
And then it's that vicious circle because then you, who are not paying on time, all of a sudden you're getting less service. Well, they're not even giving me good service, so I'm going to pay even later.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Or I do this a lot too, where it's, oh, well, they took a while to pay me, so now I don't have to pay right away, right? No, pay your debts. Pay your debts. I think that was the one thing I learned. 21 years old, my parents took my sister and I to Vegas, and my dad, we were at a blackjack table. I lost, and he gave me $20 to keep playing, and then I won. And I walk off the table. I'm like, I won $100, and he goes, no, you won 80. Give me 20. Yeah. Always pay your debts.
Very good advice.
That has stuck in my brain to the point it's almost a detriment because now I'll always be the first to offer to pay the check. You don't need to. No. We can split it. It's fine. No. It's fine. And I'm getting over that as I'm getting older. But
it's similar but different because it's like, what you put out there is what you're going to get back.
Yep.
And a lot of these people who aren't paying are wondering why they don't get paid in return. It's the same as, have you ever listened to people on the phone? So I always bring in my old boss stories because
I love your old boss.
She always insisted that customer service people were so mean to her, and she got in fights with them all the time. And we'd sit there and listen to her conversations, and she'd do the harsh startup. She was mean to them.
Right out of yep.
And it's like, amazingly, they were mean to her back.
What?
I know, and it's like you get an attitude with anyone, especially somebody on the phone you've never met. The only perception they have of you is how you were treating them at that time.
Yep.
And only the very, very, very highest level, most professional customer service people are going to be able to take attitude like that and still be nice and pleasant, and they're humans.
Yep. If
you're being an ass to them, it's going to affect.
Well, and let's be honest, you rarely call customer service to be like, hey, just want to let you know, product went great, and I'm super happy today.
Right.
No, you're the 20th phone call that they're going to get yelled at. And you know how I start mine? When I have to, because I had I was on the phone for like 7 hours on an issue last year. Then it needed to be taken care of within the year. But I always started with, I know this isn't your fault, and I'm sorry that you're the lucky one that got this phone call. But I am very frustrated. I'm going to explain it calmly, and I hope that we can talk about it. I really wanted to set the table of, I might get a little heated because you're the 17th person I've had to deal with, but I know it's not your fault. And I just don't think people do that because they're all fired up, ready to go. I'm going to get this discount.
think that the meaner that they are, the more they'll get.
You know, we could do an episode. Well, maybe the squeaky wheel gets the oil.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Yes.
Okay, well, let's not get into that then. All right, so once again, if you're known as the person that doesn't pay on time or doesn't pay at all, perception reality, even if you have all good intentions, chances are you're going to be deemed that person. So try not to there. Let's see. I think we kind of touched on this one, but the person that always has a challenge,
Oh, yeah.
right? So if it's sickness or my car didn't start or I have a flat tire. Once again, in the networking world, doing a lot of one-to-ones, I dealt with this a lot. And I have sympathy for dealing with kids, probably have more sympathy for a single parent versus a dual parent.
Okay.
But I actually dealt more with the dual parents having more issues than the single. Like, it blows my mind how, well, you were a single parent for a while and you still made meetings and everything, right?
I did.
See, and so it's very tough when you see it done so well by one person in a more challenging situation,
Correct.
and then the person that is like, oh well, I have to drop my kids off and they're late to every meeting. It's like, you have a spouse.
Well,
Why
and
can't-
also, you have to drop your kids off.
Yeah, so don't make a
Don't-
meeting
Yeah.
at that time. Don't join a group at that time. So once again, if you find and I put this on there because I try to reflect on this every time I reschedule with someone. Is this the first time I've had to reschedule?
Yeah.
Last time that we met, did I have to reschedule then? Because I don't want to be deemed as that person. I think once you're deemed that person,
Like,
yes, and it's hard to get appointments then.
yeah.
Once people know that that's just, oh, Brandon canceled on you. Yeah, I've been there, done that.
Yeah.
And I don't think that that's a good perception
No.
to have people have. Okay, and then the last one, as we're kind of finishing up here, social media. There's a perception. I think it is good. I think by default we want to share what's good in our lives on social media, right? We want to show off, but I think there are people that are addicted to covering up, making it look like my perception is my life's going great when it is just in shambles.
There's
behind the
that,
scenes.
and then there's the opposite.
Where they make it look like they're just in shambles and
Oh no, feeling low, that kind of thing.
Yes.
Again, it's an attention thing.
is it? Oh, here you go. I got a good one. So there's a very predominant business owner. That's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say here now. And I got to say they because I don't want to specify. They have a story. They have a story of their life that got them to where they are today.
Okay.
One of my friends grew up with this person. And part of the story is, I grew up in a very tough family, and my parents were separated. Her parents were never separate.
Oh, it was a lie. There's more than one prominent female business owner.
Okay, good.
So I think it's okay.
And my friend, we were talking about it, and she goes, I went to her house. Like, it's not a true story. I'm like, wow. So this whole thing, and I've had feelings when people have shared their story.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, number one, if there's ever a story, like none of my stories, I guarantee are 100% true.
Right.
A lot of them are pretty dang true, though, which I think is funny. But they're not always. And I'm just thinking to myself, but you're building your whole image off of this somewhat of a lie. And I'm sorry, we live in too small of a town to be cool with that. Look, a random person that did business with him, we found out that we knew him mutually, and then she got me up to date on it. I'm like, that's funny. That's funny.
Social media too. The one
Oh,
that always
all day
gets
long.
me is the couples. The happy. You know how many times you see the happy couples, and then you see him, and you see the one guy in person, and he's flirting with you. And I had one where it's funny. Quick.
Yeah. Go ahead, because then
So they got married. Everything on social media was, we are the happiest couple, and they would do that. Oh, that's my lovely wife, lovely blue. And I had this guy's number in my phone because he was in one of my networking
Oh
groups,
no.
and I'd had to talk to him. And his name was the name of some guy I was dating, same first name.
Okay.
Actually, I knew three of them. There were three of this name in my phone. Let's say Adam. There were three Adams.
Three Adams.
In my phone.
Okay.
Okay. Adam, my friend. Adam, this guy who was in a group that I never talked to anymore, and this Adam guy that I went on a date with.
Okay.
So I tried to text my friend Adam, hey, I went out with this guy once. I don't really like him, and now he wants to talk on the phone with me. Oh, what do I do? And as soon as I sent it, I'm like, oh my God, I just sent it to the guy I went on the date with.
Oh no!
And I was just like horrified. I'm like, oh my God, this is the worst thing in the world. But who I had actually sent it to was the guy in the networking group.
Okay.
And he responded, and then I realized who it was. I was like, I am so sorry. This was supposed to go. And he starts up with a, when we used to be in that group together, I wanted to date you so bad.
Oh,
and it just kept going. And like, he obviously was trying to like get.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I just saw something on Facebook the other day of you put this huge post up about how lucky you were to have your ever loving wife, and there's 20 comments of you guys are the perfect couple. I was like, I'm gonna throw up.
Oh my gosh, yes.
And that tends to be the ones you see that are the happiest couples are the ones who are.
Yep. Well, and what I wrote here on that on my notes here is Twitch. Do you know who that is?
Yeah.
And there's literally a reel of him and his wife dancing happily, and I think it's like hours before. If you don't know, Twitch was on So You Think You Can Dance, and that's where my wife and I discovered him. That's where he got discovered, I guess. And then he was on the Ellen Show. He was the DJ, and he did take his life. Like, I didn't even believe it. I thought it was a joke on Facebook, like one of those rumors, and only to find out how true it was, and then to see he looks normal and happy.
Has everything going for him.
Absolutely, and there's perception because the reality was, and Robin Williams, same thing. Like no one saw.
He was sick.
He was sick.
Yeah, he had Lewy body dementia.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And he knew that it was going to go
downhill. Well, anyway, so and I think that happens a lot when people do take their lives. Is everyone's like, gosh, I would have never.
And a lot of the people that seem the happiest, it's an act.
I get that. People. I've had people, not like anybody really worried about me, but I've had people express that they're worried there's something I'm hiding.
Right, and you're just authentically happy.
I just can't help it.
But a lot of those people that just seem to be happy-go-lucky all the time, it's an act. They're putting an act to cover up the darkness.
Yeah. No, and we all have our needs. But once again, and I'm not saying you'll magically be fine, but if you put out a little more reality, I think then you have the opportunity that maybe somebody will catch and see that. And I know there's always signs, and I don't want to get too far into this topic, but it is one of those. Social media, I think, has really skyrocketed the perception as reality. Because I feel there are people that post on social media and they don't support or they don't live that life necessarily, and then they get offended when people think that's who they are. All these OnlyFans ladies on the reels and stuff. Like when you say things, what is it, dad bod, that kind of crap. I get them a lot on mine because I'm a male. But when they're like, oh, look, of course they're going to say that. They want your money.
Right.
Like, none of this is true.
Right.
And if you think your one comment you just wrote on there is going to make you date, no, not at all. They're there to get your money.
Right.
It's literally what they're doing. Okay, so I don't know. Do you want to touch on that? Talk about employees.
Maybe next time.
Maybe next time. Okay, we're good. I was trying to like wrap it up with here are some to-dos, but in all reality, just accept that how you portray yourself on a daily basis and your actions that people see in networking settings and family settings and all that, that is their reality of you. And unless you specify or really express, listen, this is who I truly am, they're always going to have their own perception. And just like your quote, don't get caught up in what people think. What is it? That it's really your perception of how they perceive you.
Right.
You can't get caught up in that. And for me, I'm very lucky. We're going to talk about this next episode, but I feel I am somewhat authentic. Like this isn't an act. I do like being happy. This is me. Do I gossip? Absolutely. Are there times where I leave a group and I'm like, gosh, that really wasn't me? Absolutely. But for the most part, I really want the perception people have of me to be the reality I am. And that is loud and boisterous and happy, which isn't all the worst. And I know some people don't like that, and that's fine. That's fine. But at least they don't like me for who I truly am.
Yeah.
And it's not that they do or don't like me for something that I am not. Sound good?
Sounds good.
Like that. All right, everybody. So we love reviews. We love it when you share. I tell you the truth, we were just talking about this before we got on the mic. We love it when you see us in public and you're like, hey, I listened to 2 seconds of that one podcast you did and I really enjoyed it. I'll take 2 seconds. You might want to listen a little more of the show.
That's
There's
what she said.
a lot of good.
Right.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good content we try to get out there. But no, we just always appreciate it. And if you're listening to this part, then you've made it to the end. So thank you. And we appreciate your support. And we look forward to talking to you on the next podcast.